We got loads of hedges on this farm. I could keep them in competition for the next 28 years, honestly, probably more. So it's...
Some big news is that there's currently a hedgelaying
we got the hedgelaying competition on hedgerows. So it's fantastic. It's a lovely young hedge, and then it's taking place. So I'm really, really pleased this morning. It's beautiful. So there's 14 people competing, and they're all beavering away. The little chainsaws are tapping away, and
there's a real smell of two-stroke.
Yeah, it's a real smell of two-stroke, and all these vehicles. It's so nice to have them. So we're really lucky, and I thank them as well. It's going to be good.
The obvious question here is, what on earth would anyone be doing laying a hedge? Why would you lay a hedge?
Oh my goodness, it's a very traditional, it's been going on for hundreds of years. It's fantastic. So the hedge gets longer and longer and longer, and if you don't have a hedge trimmer, it just keeps going longer and longer, and then there's nothing in the bottom. So all through the bottom, the lambs and sheep can go.
Oh, I see.
So you lay it, and it thickens the hedge. Mm-hmm. And where you lay it, it lays down, but also little bits come up, and it makes it
promotes
so lovely.
New growth
promotes
from
new
the
growth.
soil.
And when you're doing it, I used to do it with Dad a lot, and we used to do lots of farmers, or quite a few, perhaps do one hedge a year or a part of a hedge. It's difficult to find time for that sort of stuff, and it is very, very hard work.
Yeah.
It's very mauling, and it's nice what now little saws are around, and you sort of cut through 1/2 to 3/4, and then you have to cut it in a certain position so it lays down, so the water doesn't go down in the roots, and it's so lovely, it's traditional. And when it's done properly, oh my goodness. And then they go into the woods and things, and they cut the stakes and binders, so they pin the hedge down, so you've got this hedge sort of cut and flopped down, and then it has to be staked, so you have special stakes in there, and then they do that lovely twist, they bind the tops.
Yeah, it's very pretty, it's almost ornate on the top.
Yeah, it's lovely. And every county does it different. They do it different here than they would do in Devon, and
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Lots of differences, little slight differences in. Obviously up north you've got the stone walling, but they still lay hedges and and Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some, everybody's
I've grown
got
up with
hedges
hedgelaying,
that need.
but I don't ever remember a competition happening.
And if you have
farm.
sheep, they tend to nibble their way into. We got loads of hedges on this farm. I could keep them in competition for the next 28 years, honestly, probably more. So it's but lots of people now though. Lots of people do quit. They do it with diggers. I know it sounds awful, but they chainsaw it and then they push it. They do a quick job.
Okay. I was going to say it's very it's very slow.
It is slow, but the sense of achievement. And when you're down in the bottom and you're rooking out all the dead wood and the leaves, and you're cleaning around the stumps, you're giving it new life, and the sense of achievement, and it's amazing.
And I suppose a lot of people wouldn't know, and admittedly, nor would I a lot, but I have some understanding that a hedge is very, very important on a farm for a barrier, but also because
for shade, like look at the shade in the summer, and in the winter when that rain was coming down last night at this horizontal, not all cattle are in sheds, and they have to have nice big edges that they can just put their backs up under and just protect them a little bit. And
the wildlife, right?
Oh my God, the wildlife, the birds and all the different things.
So when they're chainsaw and they're disturbing it a lot.
Well, they're not nesting this time of the year.
Oh, is that why you do it now?
Yeah, you're only allowed to do it from now until like the first week in March or the middle of March or whatever.
says the government.
Yeah, and that's for hedge trimming as well. That's usually when you do the hedge laying, because all the sap, it's the safest way. You can't do it in the summer when it's all budding up. It's now died down, all the leaves are falling off, and it's...
Right.
And so now they do the hedge laying. And
So
then in the spring, it will then start shooting, and everybody's looking to make sure it's all growing. And
Oh, that's really nice. And
really
then
nice.
the wildlife and everything's got a new home next year when it's all grown.
And you've got nice thick hedges for the birdies to nest in. Well,
and
it's good for everybody.
You've got a nice hedge to keep your animals in. Maybe you get some herdwicks again.
No,
Test it out.
no. Yeah, really good. I'm feeling cold actually. It's blowing a hoolie. Can you tell by my hair? I look like a scarecrow. But we just had an amazing day. It started off at 9 this morning, and 13 very skilled people came and done a piece of my hedge. Ta-da! Can you see? And they all had their little bit, their pitch to do, all marked out for them. And it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so our hedge is thick and strong. It's good for everybody. It's good for me because it fills in the bottom, so it's really good for the animals. It's really good for the, excuse me, mouthful of hair, really good for the birds and wildlife. And it's going to fill out in the next 10 years. It looks like you're actually chopping the branch down, but you're actually cutting it about halfway through, laying it, and then this bit, chop this bit off so it's a nice straight cut. As you can see, some of those bits, and so the water, when the rain comes, oh, drop me a bit of wood, the rain comes, it waters and goes right down to the bottom. I'm getting me a bit of wood. It is crucial to the demonstration. So, look at that bit of wood. Oh, it smells lovely. I love wood, and I love messing about with trees and hedges. I don't have enough time, and I don't have the skill of those boys. I do some secret hedge laying where no one can see it. Only me and my children and the cows and sheep. But when I see it done like this, it is glorious. And so it's wonderful. It just keeps the skill alive, because if we don't carry on doing these things, it's very, very hard work. So it's not mechanical. So it's all done with chainsaws and bills and axes. So it's very, very, very hard work. But the sense of achievement, and when you've done just a small piece and you see just a little bit how it looks and what you've achieved, it is amazing. So it's grand job.
Job well done.
Yeah, real job well done. There's, only another 3 miles of hedge laying to do. Some of the hedges, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Yeah, and then you got then you plant in quicks as well. Perhaps there's big gaps and things, so you're planting little quicks and things and giving the hedge a new lease of life. And that's it. Job done. Happy Sarah. I'm cold now. Love to everyone, and good night.